Hello and welcome back to the Numismatic Symposium 2020. Uh, for this hour, we are joined by award-winning Coin Collectors blog and 2019 Glenn Smedley Award winner Scott Barman.
Good afternoon or good morning, wherever you are. My name is Scott Barman. I'll have the slide of pomposity at the end about me, but I would like to go ahead and get started. Let me just give you a little background. This particular talk was born out of, started when I found an ad on Facebook advertising Silver Eagles for $9.95. Who's going to sell Silver Eagles for $9.95? And then as the author of the Coin Collectors blog, I started getting questions from people. Is this real? Is this something that is legitimate? And the answer more times than not turns out to be no. So what I would like to do is, my background is also in information security. I grew up in the information security world. Many years ago, I retired in 2017. I had put in 25 years with the federal government. So what I wanted to do was give you the overhead basics, what I think a general user could do to basically look at the website, look at what you can see, and then determine for yourself. There's more to this, requires a little more of a technical background. I'm not going to get into that. If you want to know more, contact me later. Okay, first I want to give you my standard disclaimer. Everything you see in this presentation is real. These are real websites. These are live. I had to fortunately edit this at the last minute, mainly because one of the sites that I had used as an example was taken down. Part of what I'm doing with this is I'm creating a database that's going on in the background that will be launched soon. And I've been doing what I can to report these sites to various authorities. It's difficult because of international law, but anyone that has an association directly with the United States, so far I've had 2 taken down. One of them was part of this presentation. So thankfully there is a dent being made, not enough of a dent. And it's very, very easy to scam everybody online. And we'll get into that. I wanted to show, to start with, that these are fake. These are 2 coins that I bought. And I knew I bought them specifically because I knew they were fake. Okay, if you look at the slab-like items that they are in, these are classic counterfeit NGC slabs. So they know that, to a certain degree, from what I could determine from my investigation, that people are beginning to recognize the fake NGC slabs, but they're using them anyway to ship the coins because it's just easier for them. Let's take a closer look at the coins themselves. This is the front and reverse of the coin that in the previous slide you saw opened. This is the eagle as it sat on my desk and I took the picture. The first thing I look for, even before anything else, was I turned it over, and the 2 indications that this was fake was I looked at the U. The U on the 2020 Silver Eagle has the little tail on it. That was changed in 2017. I'm sure collectors remember when there was mixtures of the reverse. I think that was in 2017. Also, the dash at the bottom where I have circled, that is also changed. This style is the pre-2017 reverse style. So if you get a 2020 coin with these 2 indicators on it, it's definitely a fake coin. Now, ignore what you think is maybe doubled items on the double die look on these things, that is called an image artifact. It's because we're trying to reproduce 3D in a 2D image. Finally, this week, I was able to go to a coin shop, and of course, with the coronavirus, it's hard to get into certain places, but I do know somebody who has one of those metal analyzers, and we stuck it under there. The primary metal is aluminum. The secondary metal is lead, because aluminum is too light. It's lead to added lead. I believe it's a core of lead with an aluminum around it. I will be probably cutting one of my coins open soon, but these are not real. This particular coin weighs 27 grams, and it's about 31.1 grams in a real American Silver Eagle. So right away, before anything else, the weight and the font differences were enough to tell me that this was a fake. And those were the first two things that I did. So if you purchase these coins, I'm sorry, you bought fakes. And the metal value, there is absolutely no silver in any of these coins. The coins which are traced directly to China. There is a manufacturing facility through certain investigations that I did, and I'm helping with both the FBI and the Secret Service. They're coming out of Shenzhen, China, which is south of Hong Kong. And what these people will do is also represent that they are from Hong Kong, because Hong Kong is allegedly more. They think Hong Kong is more acceptable to the world than Shenzhen, China. But you'll see that there's additional clues that that you'll see. Basically, there is no legitimate dealer, none, that will sell bullion coins for below the spot price. They may sell it for a point or two above the spot price. They may sell it for the spot price, but you're not going to find any legitimate dealer selling any bullion coin, any gold, any silver, any platinum for below the spot price. This is a general idea. If the deal is too good to be true, it's not. Don't get fooled. These people are out there painting rosy pictures, trying to get you to buy their junk. And it's not just coins. I mean, you'll see from the images that I will present in a few minutes that they're trying to sell more knockoffs of different things than just coins. Coins just seem to lure people a little more. One of the things I have found is that these people do not identify themselves on their websites. Now, it's difficult to say that if they don't put in a location, they're not real. That's difficult because there are some very good dealers out there who are not working out of a storefront. They are working out of a back room in their home or a nearby office, and for security reasons, they don't want to advertise their address. That's fine. So you have to look at who the dealer is. You've got to do a little more sleuthing than say, well, if he's working out of a PO box or she has a box at the Parcels Plus or the UPS store, then they're not real. No, you can't just go by that. The contact pages, although they're getting better, there's some interesting twists with the contact information. Some of them are now telling you that they are in China, but they're also giving you US-based telephone numbers. Is there a telephone number listed? Plug that into Google. If you didn't know, and this is something to learn, and I'll talk about this again later, is that you could take a number, type it in with dashes in between, take a standard US telephone number, type it into Google, and have it do a search. It'll bring up a lot of different sites that they'll also try to sell you information services on various people. Don't ignore it. Just look at the information about what the number says. A lot of this is crowdsourced. and people will type in, yeah, I called this person or this person called me, and it's this type of number. Just take the number, enter it into Google. Google is very good at this. If you're not into Google, DuckDuckGo, which is a similar search engine, what they do is they take the Google results and act as a middle person and anonymize it. So there's no tracking between you. All that goes through DuckDuckGo, and it's fine because Google is still getting ad revenues. DuckDuckGo is getting revenues. Everybody is happy, so everybody's getting paid, and that's the whole idea of all this. Also, if you go to the very bottom, if the site says it's powered by Shop Plaza, it is likely a scammer site. Shop Plaza has what has already been determined to be stolen code. We're not sure whose code they stole, but it's a shopping service. It's being run out of China, and they seem to be going through a whole taking all these scammer sites and copying them from one to another. So I wouldn't trust any of them. In fact, I've only seen one site that identified as powered by Shop Plaza as being somewhat legitimate. There may be somebody there that maybe they could point to and say, "Hey, look, these guys are legitimate." It's a red herring. Don't fall for that. So what happens when we land on a scammer site? I will tell you that all but the middle one that I use, all of these are being hosted by Shop Plaza. They look nice. It looks fine. I use LICOO, and please use 2 O's because there is a company, LICO, that is a Chinese site, but they are a legitimate seller. That was determined. The police and I determined that. But they look pleasant. They look like, they would sell you legitimate merchandise. And the middle one was changed because the other one, thankfully, is out of business. But, they all have nice sites. They all look reasonable. They all use about the same template, which you would find if you went to a legitimate shopping site such as Shopify, although Shopify has a few more customizing options, and there's some clues by looking underneath that a lot of the code in this was ripped off from Shopify. But the one thing that is interesting is if you watch these pop-ups, these are very interesting. You'll see these on both legitimate and I wouldn't say legitimate. I would say shady sites. Basically, what they're trying to do is tell you, look, people are buying from us. People are buying from us. But you watch them. Usually about somewhere between 8 and 12, the count seems to change depending on who's playing games. You will find that the names and the products cycle. They will repeat themselves. So, it looks like, well, somebody's buying. Hey, look, somebody's buying from nearby in the United States. No, these are repetitive. When you go to a typical catalog page, you decide, okay, I'm going to check this out. You click and you go to a catalog page. And I picked this one in particular because this particular one was full of coins. The other two had coins and other things. I decided to put this one up because one of the things that I liked about this, in giving you warning, is look at the prices. You are not going to find prices like this anywhere. Even the Apollo 11, take the bottom left, the Apollo 11 gold coin, $39.99 before their sale price. That's not gold. That's not gold. You look at the Australian gold kangaroo, those aren't even real pictures. Those are promotion pictures, just like the US Mint puts out promotion pictures of their coins. Same thing with the Australian gold kangaroo. These are images that were taken from the Royal Australian Mint, and I'll get into that in the end. The Morgan dollar, an odd Morgan dollar, if you click through the page, you see the options. Then you go to some place like Gracie.com, for example, and look up the prices for the Morgan dollars. Nothing is going to come down in their offers, close to $50. So the prices should, the idea if it's too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. Let's look at one of the product pages. This one is the one I personally purchased from, and I purchased it knowing full well that I was getting a counterfeit coin. So I wasn't being ripped off. I wanted to try it out. This image is not their coin, not even close to their coin. You can take the images, you can do various searches with images, and when I did a search with this particular image, Google has an option for an image search. This image popped up at least on the first 30 results, image results that I saw. What they call the metadata, the information about it, has been cleaned out. On, I don't know, I spot checked maybe 5 or 6 of these, and the metadata has been cleaned out, but this is somebody's image on the internet. It is difficult to say whose image it is first. It's not a US Mint image. There is no particular image from the US Mint, but this one is. And you would think, well, they're selling real US Mint items. No, they're not. First of all, aside from being a US Mint image, you'll go over to the US Mint and say, no, this one is different from the US Mint, until you look carefully and it's a 2019 image. And for that, you need to go to a site called archives.org, which is known as the Internet Archives. They sort of slurp up and carry everything. If you want to find something from the past, go to archives.org and search it. If you go to archives.org, you will find that this image is from the US Mint from 2019. So you won't find it on this year in this year's products. But if you go to 2019, use what they call the Wayback Machine. I love that name, Wayback Machine. The old cartoon people will understand, people who are about my age, and I'm a baby boomer, so that's okay. But you're really not going to buy a Silver Eagle for $9.98, even if it's in a US Mint packaging, or, oh, look, an NGC slab. And you take a closer look at this NGC slab and you figure out, oh, it's not a real NGC slab. They're not taking pictures of real coins. This image was stolen from NGC's site. I was able to verify it, although they cleaned out a lot of the metadata. Because I have a little more technical background, there is a pixel by pixel way of checking the image. I checked the image, and this is clearly from NGC's site. So they present you these real looking images, but just because they presented you these real images doesn't mean that these are real coins. The thing to look at is the About Us page. This is where one of the things I got curious and started looking at it. It gets fun. You will see, especially on this site, that they all look about the same. Now, this person, whoever did this site, looked at it and said, well, we're going to cut this down a little bit. But a lot of if I was able to scroll down the LIACOO site, you will see a lot of the same words. But let's check this one out. And it is almost word for word the same. They just edit it for their name. They edit it for their address. They edited, in fact, the first one version of this, and I wish I would have kept the image. The Contact Us link at the bottom actually was copied. Instead of the one on the right saying for Topo Key, it actually said for liacoo.com. And I believe from everything we've searched for, everything the federal authorities and I have looked at, LIACOO may have been the first one. I will tell you that they are still on Facebook, even though that they've been reported. they are still advertising on Facebook, even though I keep reporting every single one of their ads that keep popping up, and they have not been banned. So if you're a user of Facebook, please watch out for these scams. You know, Facebook, as we have learned, does not care. If you have the money, you will be able to buy ads. They will take down individual ads. They won't take down individual people who are scamming, who are doing these scams. So be prepared. The contact us page is one of the things that happened is I started advertising no address. And we have that none of these sites showed an address. All of a sudden, within days of my complaining and days of my saying, look, don't trust these people, they don't have an address, they all came up, even though a lot of them say they're in Hong Kong, they're in Shenzhen, which is outside of Hong Kong, has its own business district, does not have legitimately an association with Hong Kong. Now, I'm not going to get into the politics of what's going on there, but just understand that Shenzhen is trying to do its own thing. It has a lot of what they call these commercial districts, and you see those in your own hometowns, suburb cities where they're just a bunch of offices, and in a lot of places in Shenzhen, they're 1 or 2 room offices, they're cubes, they're low-rise buildings because they have enough space for them, and a lot of people use these offices as drop ship locations, and that's all this is. This is all a drop ship. The main one we think though is this LIACOO. But if you look at this particular one and this particular one, you will see that they all look the same and they're all copied from each other. So you in fact, even if they're not in using Shop Plaza, and you look at the bottom, let me see if I can get my, oops, let me go back, sorry. Come on. You will see, there we go. Okay, this one is good, but bottom middle, powered by Shop Plaza. And one of the things that I discovered about Shop Plaza is that they are actually physically located in the same area as LIACO. So that's also something key. Again, the United States federal authorities can't do much because they're overseas, and that's a big problem. If you have any questions about any of these people, if they are overseas, if they're not in the United States, your protections are minimal. It is buyer beware, caveat emptor. How do you tell where these things are? Well, if you can't look at these pages, I'm going to get one small step technical here for the group. After this, it gets too technical, and I'm not going to go into it. Is the who is option. Every single domain name that is registered out there is registered in what is known as the who is database. Everybody who registers internet addresses is supposed to maintain a who is database, and that database is maintained centrally. This one, whois.net, yeah, it's a commercial site, but I know who these people are, and I know they're not gonna give you the wrong thing. There's a better site, but you need to understand more of the technical nature of it. This is just a good, safe place to go. And all you have to do is enter the domain name into the search box, click your search, and you get a page like this. Well, let's go in a little closer to look at some of the keys. You will get all this information. Let me give you 2 things to look at. The who is server, the who is registrar. Okay, you look at the who is server and biz.cn.com. you can open up a browser and go to biz.cn.com and has everything come up in Chinese. And if you use a site like Google Translate, translate.google.com, you could also turn around and get it translated for you. What's not an image can be translated into English. Google's Translate is very good at doing this, but we know that BizCN is part of a company. It's called Business China, and it is Shenzhen based. The other thing that you could look at is the name server. The name servers, for those who don't know, is when you type in a name like bizcn.com, something has to translate that into an internet address, because computers don't understand letters, it understands numbers. So the address is translated by some name server. These are the name servers. What we look at is what we call the top level domain. That's the dotted part all the way to the right. That's called the top level domain. Now, you know about .com, .net, .org, those, United States centric, because, hey, we invented the internet. For other countries, it was initially determined, of course, this has been muddied up over the years. It was initially determined that other countries would have a top level domain based on the 2-letter international country code. You may have seen CA for Canada, .UK for United Kingdom, .ZA for South Africa, for example. .CN is the top level domain. It's the international country code for China. If you ever have questions on the country code, you can go to Wikipedia, type in international country codes, and it will bring up a page that will show you every 2-letter country code. A lot of this has been muddied up over the years. That's okay. But at least somebody out of China, a Chinese registrar, will only be able to register a Chinese name. Not always true. Sometimes we have been finding, and the one that was shut down and the one that was able to be shut down was actually registered through GoDaddy. So, and they were using GoDaddy system, and because it was on a GoDaddy server, the United States government was able to do something about it. That's it. Unless you're going to learn HTTP, HTML, how to read all that underneath, that is what you can do to protect yourself. It is not easy. You have to be careful. You have to look carefully at each one of these sites before buying, because otherwise what's going to happen is you're going to come back and get basically aluminum plated lead that looks like a silver eagle. I have not bought any of the gold coins. Sometimes some people have reported that they haven't received the coins as well. So that's another thing. What you can do, you can complain to your credit card company. You could call your credit card company and say, listen, I was defrauded. I got fraudulent items. I got Chinese fakes. Some of the credit card companies I've heard will fight you. Some of the credit card companies will demand to see the coins and an analysis that if you have a local dealer who has the machines that will look at the coins, you can get a metal analysis, and you have to do that. I have heard of right now 4 people out of dozens that have written to me that have been able to get their money back through the credit card company. But you're also going to have to wonder, how long that's going to last. I've heard that some of the credit card companies have contacted the Secret Service as well, have contacted the FBI as well. That has been unconfirmed. And of course, the Secret Service and the FBI won't confirm that to me. It's an open investigation. And all I'm going to do is provide my assistance. And finally, I wanted to let you know that this was not limited to China. Oh, there was one in Doha, Qatar, that that was also taken down. But what they were doing is they were using a US-based logistic address. There are a lot of companies, foreign companies, that use import-export services. And this particular import-export services was in Brooklyn. And what you can do with some of these, if you use Google Maps, you take the address, you plug it in. And what Google Maps will do is on the left side of the page, after you open the map, it'll tell you about the shops, about the stores, about the companies that are at that location. And then you look at that location, and in the one from Doha, it was an import-export business. Now, there is nothing wrong with these import-export businesses. They do legitimate work. They help the transfer of goods, not only from the United States outwards, and handle all the customs and everything, but from the foreign countries in. So there's fundamentally nothing wrong with these people. And a lot of times they act as sort of like a Dropbox service. The information is, the goods are sent from overseas to the Dropbox. Then what the company would do, the logistics company would do, is remove the items from the Dropbox and do with them as the service is paid for. If you're paying for a service, for example, that says take the item, transfer it into US mail, that's what they'll do. Perfectly legitimate way of doing it. This particular list is where we have found a number of these scammers using United States-based logistics addresses, and they would trace back to those particular countries. The one from Cheetah in Russia is a very interesting one, because that one, it happens to be at about the border in southeast Russia, near China. And somebody told me that a lot of goods are being brought across the border. Of course, hands are getting greased in the process, to put it into Russia so it doesn't look like it's coming from China. Well, if it comes from Russia, it's a different story. One of the things that we also found, and it's this week, it hasn't been confirmed, is that they're using certain services in places like the Philippines and South Korea to transfer goods. So what they're beginning to learn is that as we keep watching them, we keep recognizing their particular locations, where things are coming from. So they're expanding out. Well, South Korea is supposedly a US-friendly country. Why not send it through South Korea? The same thing with the Philippines. And that's basically it. This is my slide of pomposity. You can read a little bit about me. You can go to my blog, the Coin Collectors blog. I've been writing it since 2005. If you have any questions, specific questions, you could write to me. My email address is at the bottom. And remember when I talked about the top level domains, .ws happens to be for Western Samoa. The difference is that Western Samoa decided, well, we're going to make some money. We're going to sell this for general use. This was before everything got muddled, and it was advertised as .ws for website for the rest of your life. And I've just picked up my own vanity WS domains. So what we're going to do now is, if you have any questions, I can take them. Let me see if I can pop up the Q&A. Aha.
Certainly, if you want, I can list them off, or if you would.
I got them.
All right.
I got them.
I'll leave it to you.
Do you think that on eBay, if an ANA member has his number with logo listed, that would reduce questionable transactions because of the dealer code of ethics? Yes and no. Yes, usually no, because if you look at there are a lot of ethical questions out there. More times than not, I would trust trust an ANA member. Another one that is also putting their logo out is PNG. PNG is also doing allowing especially legitimate dealers put the PNG logo. I would trust PNG. They have an offshoot, APMD. I think no, that's not right. They have an off. Can't remember off the top of my head for specifically for precious metals, and you will notice a lot of the names. These are all very good, very good dealers. I would put more trust in an ANA member and a PNG member than most others. Okay, just to be clear, did you say a site called LICOO is fake? Absolutely. Absolutely. If you go back to my, to the original, let me see if I could go back. Let me switch. Oops, sorry. That's my fault. Give me just a second and I'll share this again. This is what happens when you try to do things on the fly. There you go. Okay, yes, these coins, these are fakes. These were, there you go. These were bought from LIACOO. Absolutely, 100% fake. How long is Base used for platform for numismatic items? Quite a while. There are groups out there that have set themselves up, private groups for that will do buy and selling of, trading of coins online. I have a member of my local coin club who likes to buy and sell on Facebook. It's almost, face-to-face people, except it's done virtually. Facebook has been accepting ads for however long, and you will see some legitimate people advertise on Facebook. Littleton Coin Company, for example. They are a legitimate site. They are a legitimate dealer. You will get real coins. People don't like their prices. That's up to you. That's between you and them. But there are legitimate people who will advertise on Facebook. So not every Facebook advertiser is selling fakes. What can our national numismatic organizations do to help prevent these types of scams? That's very interesting because that's also what I've been asking the Secret Service and the FBI. One of the things is education. Having the Newman Numismatic Portal do this type of symposium and allowing me to come up and say, look, boys and girls, this is what I found. And I've got a little more of a technical background so I could dig deeper. Maybe it would take a committee of, say, not just me, but people including, say, somebody like me who has this technical background, who can work with law enforcement, who can provide the general education. I'm going to try to do a certain amount of education on my own. I am collecting a number of the sites, the fake sites, and also questions from people who have asked about legitimate sites. And I am trying to put together some information. It takes a little time. Like a lot of people, I do work for a living. I'm doing all this free. So it takes a little bit of time. Just give me a chance and I'll probably get something up. And I'd also like to see either PNG or not, not PNG, the dealers, the ANA get together and have something that they can go to, some people that they can go to say, this is what we have. Let's work with with law enforcement. A lot of those fake coins sold in as replica in AliExpress. The scammers just buy them from the sellers and marketing. Isn't that a problem with the original source? Absolutely, absolutely. And if you go on to AliExpress, you will find a lot of legitimate sellers. And I am working with a seller from AliExpress for a different project, and they are legitimate. But the vast majority of the coins that you look at AliExpress are fake. They are not real. Now, one of the things you won't find on AliExpress is eagles. You may find some eagles, but they end up getting taken down. The law in China says that no current coin can be copied. According to Chinese law, copying a Morgan dollar is not a crime because it's not a current coin. China, under their law, will demonetize old coins. The United States doesn't demonetize any coins. So according to Chinese law, it is legal for them to fake a Morgan dollar. But they don't have the laws that say you have to say that they're copies, because in the United States, it's not a current coin. These eagles, though, are coming out of an office that is right next door to LIACO. And that's what's happening. They are going around to people around the world who they've worked with, setting up these sites, and it's all drop shipped from the same place in China. Do you usually see the HTTPS on the scammer sites? Usually you'll see HTTPS. That's easy to do. I know my blog doesn't use HTTPS, and I do have a certificate behind the scenes that I should add to it, but really it doesn't matter. There's a service out there called Let's Encrypt Me, and you could easily do a Let's Encrypt Me certificate for nothing, and it's just easy enough to fake. And usually what I try to do for me is I understand how the technology works. I will go underneath and I'll actually look at the certificates. And more times than not, the certificates are one of these, either Let's Encrypt Me or from a Chinese, what they call certificate authority, one of these Chinese issuers that will issue certificates to anybody. Now, what they don't issue is what they call a verified cert. Now, it's the difference between when you look at the lock or whatever particular indication is on your browser. And I'll tell you, I'm using a Mac and I primarily use Safari. If you look at on the upper left-hand corner of where the address line is, what you will see is a lock of some type. Now, if that lock turns green, and green is almost a universal color, that is what they call a verified certificate, where a certain amount of verification goes in to verify the company. If you are worried about certain companies, only use one that will give you a verified certificate. So that's something to consider next time. I have reported about 100 ads on Facebook with different company names. The odds are all of the ads are the same. Facebook takes them off the Facebook page. I don't know if they take them off from others. I will tell you, your mileage may vary. Facebook is very, very uneven and very, very difficult to deal with. I'm not going to repeat the exact words that I was told by a member of the Secret Service, but pain in the behind sometimes is a cleaned up version of what Facebook has been referred to by some of law enforcement. It's very, very uneven. Even if they do take it off your timeline, they usually don't take it off of others. It requires what Facebook calls a preponderance of the evidence. If you report it, if I report it, if maybe one or two other people report it, they ignore it. They're looking for a lot of reports. You know, they have billions of people signed up. If one or two or maybe a half a dozen people complain, that's not enough for it to rise to any great shakes or emergency. So if 20, 30, 40 people, because of the way they do their timeline, if that's what gets them to do it, then everybody needs to report them. Doesn't matter how many people there are, you just need to go and report them because they are not real. Like I said, LIACOO, you could go, if you have a Facebook account and you go look them up on Facebook, they still exist on the site. Even as I keep reporting their ads, they are still an active user. They are still posting. They are still creating ads. Part of the problem is Facebook does not care. They are getting paid. That's what they care about. And that's unfortunate. That is all the questions. Anybody have any others? Now is the time. If you have any, why do policing agencies do so little to prosecute their criminals? Got a problem here. And this was a problem that when I was talking to the U.S. Postal Inspection Service, is that when you get outside of the United States, their jurisdictional borders end at the U.S. border. They can't go to other countries and say there's something wrong. Well, they can. I mean, they do go to China and they do talk to Chinese authorities and say, we have this problem. And it's not just China. You have to have the country at the other end to be able to cooperate. The folks from Doha in Qatar, the Qatari officials were able to cooperate. They did cooperate with the U.S. authorities. At that point, it becomes an international incident, an international part of foreign policy. You end up at times getting the State Department involved, which is regardless of the administration. I don't care which one, because this goes back years. It's not an easy thing to do. So when you have the FBI, when you have the Secret Service knocking on the door, you need to have that remote country to answer. There are very, very few countries out there, you could probably name them, who will cooperate, especially with the United States, directly with the FBI and the Secret Service, who are responsible for this. South America has only come on within the last 5 or 6 years, maybe 7 years, to cooperate with the United States. There was a counterfeit ring broke up, a currency counterfeit ring broke up in Argentina within the last couple of years. And that was only because they received cooperation from the Argentine government. And a lot of that is also because the United States could put certain restrictions, certain pressures on those governments. You do for us, we do for you. Well, we don't do enough for China except buy all their goods, and it hasn't stopped at the border. So unfortunately, this is a political issue, and that's why they do so little to prosecute. If they were here in the United States, if we could point to somebody in the United States, then yes, that's what's going to happen also with the logistics companies. They're going to tell these logistic companies to be more careful. They've already spoken to a number of them. Otherwise, they are the ones who are going to be prosecuted. The law that was passed a few years ago as a fix to the copy protection, to the Protection Act, the Collectibles Protection Act would allow the supply chain to be prosecuted. Unfortunately, it sort of exempts the U.S. Postal Service because they don't know what they're getting. It comes in a package, they take the package. Customs and Border Patrol are the ones who receive the packages. They're the ones who do the screening, and they're not going to screen every single package, especially coming from China. Anybody else? Where is Facebook home? Facebook is in California. Facebook is in California, and there's an aspect of the law that says that Facebook acting as a common carrier can exempt them from certain things. You've heard the arguments, I'm sure, through the political realms. You know, why are they accepting political ads basically from Russia in rubles? Okay, so that's been a long-standing problem. Facebook, unfortunately, has the policy that they will accept any ad from anybody as long as you put the money down. They don't care where the money comes from. The common carrier laws that they are using to protect themselves as being just a carrier. They're not the publisher. They are just a carrier. And that will prevents Facebook from getting prosecuted currently. Congress has talked about changing that, and the tech industry, all the tech industry, not just Facebook, Google, Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, they've all pushed back. How's that? I hope everybody learns something. I hope you stay safe out there, not only with the coronavirus, but also watch out for the scams. Please don't buy these coins. They are fake. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott, for the informative presentation. I believe we have another 7 minutes until the next presentation will begin. Feel free to join some of the others. Once again, thank you so much, Scott, and you all have a good one.